You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about abusive relationships. Now, when I talk about abuse, it could be physical, it could be emotional. But how do you flush out a toxic relationship out of your life? How do you evaluate if a relationship is worth keeping or letting go? And if you do want to let it go, how do you do that? So that's what we're exploring today. So I want you to think about the relationships in your life, and are they supporting you in the direction that you want to go? Or are they abusive? Are they controlling? Are they limiting your growth? That's what we want to focus on today. So feel free to call in at 800-333-0001, and I'll be here to give you some life coaching advice. Also, in our next segment, we'll be joined by Paula Rumbold, who actually survived a abusive relationship, and she'll be sharing with us that story and what she did to get out and grab her freedom with both hands. And if you have a question about today's topic, we absolutely want to make sure you get the resources that you need to not feel trapped, to not feel limited in your options. Reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Again, that's connect@livingfullout.com, and we'll make sure that we get you those resources ASAP. Lastly, if you have an inspirational story that you feel our audience would benefit from and we would be educated by your story, we'd love to hear from you. Again, just reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, we're going to go to the phone lines and talk to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I was a teacher for 40 years. And recently retired, and that was all great, and I was ready for retirement, and I've enjoyed my year off so far. But now I am getting to a point where I feel like I want to do something. But for 40 years I worked with children, and certainly love that. But I'm looking to do something different. I have realized that I have no idea on how to start to make a plan that's going to keep me involved with people and with my community. So I'm looking for some advice on how do I start finding what it is that I want to do going forward.
You know what? I love that you're asking this question. And let's get a woohoo! Because number one, you had a successful career. You retired like so many do, thinking, okay, I'm going to love retirement. But retirement for those who are mentally proactive and physically want to get in there and help other people, or just the doers of life, sometimes retirement's a step back. It's not a step forward. Then you might just be one of those folks that just needs more, and there's nothing wrong with that. Here's what I invite you to think about. I want you to try to put yourself out there in joining different groups. That's one way to meet people. Okay. Now there's a site that I've talked about on a couple different shows that I even use myself called meetup.com. And usually most cities have that website, and they have groups that you can join that are hobbies and sports and crafts and karaoke and you name it. And that might be a fun way to, exercise your hobbies and passions, but also meet new people. Also, you want to look to see if there's a community center in your area, and just what activities they have. Again, it might be a craft. It might be something physically that you could do. Hiking, a hiking group. Who knows? Maybe if you want, getting involved with a local church. Maybe there's groups that you can join there. And the thing is when you join these groups, number one, you're going to meet people. But number two, you want to ask what other people do with their time. Just kind of say, so when you're not working, what do you like to do? And you can actually apply that to anybody. If you're on a plane, so, okay, you're from so-and-so, and okay, you do such and such for a living. So what do you like to do when you're not working? Start asking people about what they do with their extra time. Oh, I volunteer for teenage mothers. I, work with the homeless. I really like to go karaoke, Nancy. That's what I like to do. And so when you start to take an assessment of how other people spend their time, that's going to give you some ideas. And somebody might say something like, oh gosh, that sounds interesting, or I could do that. And then you want to take that idea and apply it to your local area. How does that sound?
Oh, that's an excellent idea. I had looked at a lot of things in my local newspaper and on my community website, but I think reaching out to people that I know or maybe that I run into on occasion and just finding out what personal things they're doing, I just never ever thought of that. So that I love that advice. I'm going to try that right away this weekend.
Well, and really, I think everybody listening should take that as a takeaway, because it's so oftentimes that when we dig into conversation with somebody, we talk about the weather. So are you married? Are you single? What do you do for a living? But rather than those items that would be like box to check, like milestones in life, ask somebody, what are your passions? What are your hobbies? What do you do? And I think you're going to get a lot more of a connection with them. And then you're going to learn some things yourself that you can apply. So we'll be thinking of you.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Have a great day. Thank you so much for calling in.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I love that she's got that go get 'em, living full out vigor for life. And that's where we all want to be, in the zone. But yet sometimes we're just not sure what to do. And we just need to have some options. That's the word we're looking for. So we're going to go to the phone lines, talk to another caller. Hello, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi there. How can we help you today?
So I'm a teacher's aide, and my main goal is to work in an environment with younger children, and so I have to help them finish their homework. But sometimes it could be overwhelming when they don't listen, or multiple kids are asking me questions all at once. And this is my first experience working with kids, so sometimes it gets overwhelming and I get a little anxious. So do you have any tips on how I can better manage that?
I do, actually. So here's the thing. When you're in the moment, right, kids are talking to you right and left, you can't really pop out to your car and be by yourself, right? You have to be in that moment. But you want to find some way to bring yourself comfort, okay? So for example, sometimes that can be a physical action. So when somebody's coming at you or multiple people are talking to you, try doing something like rubbing your hands together. Maybe put your hands down behind you, in front of you, and other people won't really pay attention to it. They won't recognize it, but it's a way for you to get centered and with yourself. And you're going to feel the warmth between your hands, and it just kind of grounds you in that moment. And it reminds you that you're not being taken away, emotionally, you're not being taken advantage of. It grounds you in that moment. Sometimes you also might want to have accessible on your phone, or if you have a player that has music, just put something on there that would be motivational for you. Once in a while when I'm having a day, I need to hear a Kelly Clarkson song. I will take 1 second and I will blast it out. And then that's it. I get my 2 to 3 minute song and I'm back in action. Right? Or it could be another artist, right? You want to have tools that you can go to. They can't really be longer than like a 3-minute tool or an in the moment that people wouldn't recognize. That's why even like I do professional speaking, and even as speakers, sometimes we have little things that we'll have in our hands that will allow us to be grounded. And that's how you can get past those stressful moments. And then after the chaos, after the anxiety, I want you to, rather than, going home, and some people might have a glass of wine or go into bed and just vegging out, I want you to walk, and I want you to bring the energy into your body, or maybe go home and take a shower and wash away the day. Because if you don't take that shower, if you don't do that walk, you take all that anxiety and stress with you to bed on your mind. And part of that, again, is just switching the energy. Are those things you can try?
Yeah, I could try, and it sounds pretty helpful. So when I work with the kids, just do something to kind of distract myself, right?
Distract yourself, but ground yourself. See, again, with that rubbing of the palms, nobody's going to see you doing that. But you will know that it's almost like being your best friend, being your best advocate. you're kind of being there for yourself in that moment. You know, you got this, right? Do you see what I'm saying? You can't all of a sudden be talking out loud to yourself. You know, that'd be kind of weird in certain moments. But if you have a physical gesture, that will ground you. But I want to thank you so much for calling in, because what you asked, so many others are needing as well. So thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Nancy.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And for everybody listening, it's really about, you know, how do we navigate situations in our life, even relationships in our life, when they're toxic, when they're abusive, when they're getting us off track? How do we get back on track? How do we find ourselves? How do we have a sense of purpose? That will be discovered throughout this show and every show that we have. So stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm gonna return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're focusing on abusive relationships and how do we get out of them? What steps are required so that we can get our freedom back and really design our life the way that we want and not being influenced by people's actions or expectations, but really living on purpose. And sometimes that's hard to navigate. We just don't know what to do. And that's why we have really inspiring guests on our show, like today, Paula Rumbold. Because sometimes when you go through a domestic situation that is violent or abusive, it takes somebody like Paula to step up and share her story so that she can serve as an example, but also extending her hand to pull you out of where you are if you feel like you have no hope. So I'd very much like to welcome Paula to the show.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Oh, so glad, honestly. And I want to take our audience to kind of where it began, where you and your, husband or boyfriend at the time met, because an abuser doesn't show their strength right away. It's kind of a grooming process. And you experienced that first thing. I know you guys met, and it was really on your first 1 month anniversary that those abusive colors started to show. Can you share with us that moment?
Yeah. So my ex-husband and I, we met at Bible college, and on our first 1 month anniversary, we went to a concert. When we were on our way back to the college after the concert, we had an argument in the car. I don't remember what it was about. And so I left, got out of the car, went up to my dorm room, and my ex was coming in, like I said, my boyfriend at the time, just calling out to me, Paula, come down here. And I just went up to my room. A few minutes later, another girl from dorm came up and she said, Paula, he really wants to see you. And so I made the decision to go back downstairs just to see what he wanted. And he said, well, let's go out to the car and talk. So I was apprehensive about this, but I agreed to go out. So as we walked out of the doors of the college and going out to the car, I said something to him that I had never said to any other human being in my life. I said, just don't hit me. Yeah. So we went to the car and had the conversation, and
he didn't hit you that night, right?
He did not hit me that night. That's right.
And let's just pause for a second there, because I think we've all had those moments where we kind of have the hair on the back of our neck stands up, or we kind of get that gut moment. If you could roll back in time, obviously you'd probably have never come down and got in that car.
That's very possible. I probably wouldn't have, but I'd never been in a situation like that before. I had a very good upbringing. I never experienced any type of abuse in my life. So I don't know where that came from, why I suddenly had those red flashing lights.
Well, and eventually with an abuser, they do groom and they manipulate, and then the time comes where they test the waters and they do strike you. They do see how far they can go. What was the first time when he got physical with you?
So not so much while we were engaged. It was more emotional manipulation, mental manipulation. After we were married, about 2 weeks into our marriage, I remember us sitting at the kitchen table, and I guess I had just gotten out of the shower because I had a towel on my head. And again, I don't remember what the conversation was about, but suddenly he was standing behind me and he punched me in the back of the head. That was the first time that he'd actually physically injured me.
And in that moment, did you have the instinct to fight back? What did you do? I'm sure it started to escalate even further.
Oh, I froze. I was so stunned that he had actually done that. I'd never been a fighter, and I was always kind of more of a passive person. And so I definitely didn't turn around and hit him back. I was scared to death. I got up from the table and went to the living room and curled up in a corner, and I just started crying.
Mm. And what was his reaction to you crying? Was he remorseful? Did he apologize?
Mostly the opposite. He was very dominating and just kind of stood over me like, okay, you big baby, what are you going to do? Call your mom? Like he was very just pushing even further. There was no remorse, at least not for a while. Maybe later that night or the next morning, but definitely not in the moment.
And this was 2 weeks after you got married. How much did it escalate beyond that 2 weeks? Did it continue to kind of up the ante physically, or was it just continual, like, emotional abuse?
It was continued emotional and mental, absolutely. He would show his physical anger not always out on me, but in other ways, whether he was excited about something or angry. He would be physical. Like one day he punched the windshield of our car and broke it. So he used his power in a way that made me afraid. He didn't even have to hit me because I knew what he was capable of.
Mm. And the words that he would say to you, what threats did he give you?
Over the years, he would say that he would kill himself. He would leave. Once we had kids, he said, you'll never see the kids again if you leave. He would give me permission to go places, but then be angry when I got back, because I would have to ask him. But then, he would be mad when I got home. It was a lot of mental stuff.
Were you disappointed in any way in who you were becoming in this relationship?
I lost myself fairly quickly. I was never I was never an aggressive person, and so I always did back down very easily. But I became someone quickly that I didn't like, and I lived every day walking on eggshells and just trying to figure out if I was going to make it through that day, like not physically, but just emotionally make it through that day. And I used to have friends, and the only friends that I had were his friends because he moved me to his hometown where I didn't know anybody, so I was very secluded.
Probably part of the plan. Get her where she doesn't know anybody. And again, that can be a common trait of abusers, to want to isolate the person they're abusing. And, Paula, I want to tell you, first of all, again, your courage is amazing to be able to stand up and share your story. And it's so needed that we continue to put the spotlight on domestic violence so that we open the door to give others the ability to step forward and claim their life back. So I'd like you to stay with us. We're going to be taking a short commercial break, okay? And for everybody listening, this is the show where we're talking about abusive relationships. But I want you to realize, like Paula will tell us in the next segment, she got out and you can too. I really want you to stay with us and know that you do have the ability to live full out and grab hold of the freedom that you deserve in your life. Stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about abusive relationships and how sometimes we have to identify those who are toxic in our life and to put together a strategy, an exit strategy of how to navigate leaving that relationship. It's not always a snap, obviously, if you're married to someone or even dating them or connected to them within your intimate family, your immediate family, that can be hard to separate. But there is always a way, and the support is available. And it really takes inspirational guests like Paula Rumbold, who we're with today on the show, to help guide us through how she got out and just kind of soak up the insights that she provides in her story. And then know that beyond this show, we're going to continue to be there to support you with this topic. Okay? So I'd very much like to welcome Paula back to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it because this is such an important topic. I know even in my own life, I grew up with domestic violence. My dad had an angry streak and my mom took the brunt of that. But, we want to find a way to break that cycle and not let that go on. And so when we consider the fact that your ex-husband was starting to ramp it up in terms of, emotional manipulation, starting to physically hit you, did you turn to anybody for support?
I did. It took me a little while. I grew up believing that once you were married, that was it, you're married for life. And I'd seen some other relationships, and I just kind of thought it was normal. I did reach the point where I knew that it wasn't. I began to, I guess, learn a little bit more, and I reached out to a couple of different pastors, to another lady who attended my church, and I didn't really get the help from them that I was expecting. It was more, okay, well, then you should try not to do this, or you should try not to do that. And so the onus was put on me.
Now, did you ever think about reaching out to your mom?
I did in a way, but I didn't know that she would be maybe strong enough, or maybe I wasn't strong enough to do that. I wanted to not worry her, and I wanted to believe that I could handle it on my own.
Mm-hmm. And what was the breaking point for you? Usually there's a collection of moments, maybe sometimes one epic moment. But what made you say to yourself, I'm done. I have to make a change?
So there was 2 points for me. I left on 2 different occasions. The first one, we had a bill collector call our house in the morning, and I was talking to them. And the thing with being in a relationship like that, I was in charge of the finances, but if I didn't pay the bills and the bill collectors called, then he would be angry. But if I did pay the bills and there was no money left over, then he would be angry. So this morning started out with a bill collector calling, and an argument ensued. And we were picking out clothes for the kids, and he was angry, so he gave me a shove. And he had done worse before, but that was just the point where I can't do this anymore. So at that time, I reached out to my mom, and she came across about 20 hours drive to be with me, and then we drove back to her place together.
Now, did you take the kids with you on that? Did the kids stay with you then?
Yes, okay. We took the kids with us.
Okay. Now, how did he handle you leaving?
Better than I expected. I told him that I wanted him to get out of the house, that the kids and I were going to go to stay with my parents at my parents' place for a while. And he kind of hung out in the bedroom a little bit, kind of awkward. I had a friend of mine over because I didn't know how he was going to respond. And before he left, he did pray with me, which was very odd. But he was actually pretty decent when I left.
Kind of gracefully stepped away, which is opposite of what we would think of an abuser to be. What was the second experience that you had?
The second time we had moved to my parents' town, and we were working at a church, and he had confessed to me about some pornography, and I had been getting some counseling from the local pastor. The pastor told me that my daughter had indicated to him some physical violence that was going on when I wasn't home. And I was at work one night, and the pastor essentially said, you need to deal with this. You need to do something, or I have no choice but to do something. He said, but I would rather that you take that step. And I knew that I had had enough, the kids had had enough, and this was the time to do it because I had some support.
Now, when you say this is the time to do it, what is it? What did you do?
So I went to the police and reported the abuse. And for the first time ever, I had actually told them all the physical violence that was going on. I'd never really spoken out about it like that before and admitted to that. So the police then got involved and arrested him that morning.
Now, when he was arrested, was he still as graceful as he had been the first time, or how did he handle being arrested? At this point, you made it more public.
Yes. Well, thankfully, I wasn't there. They went and arrested him when I was not there. The kids weren't there. He spent some time in the holding cell that morning, and then apparently said he was having chest pain. They took him to the hospital. He spent a week in the hospital, and then he was let out with a surety, so someone that he had to be accountable to.
Now, when
was it graceful?
No.
Yeah,
no,
not really. I didn't talk to him after that, except we were able to have some phone conversations. But he was very angry.
How do you handle sleeping at night, knowing he was out? Just wondering, is he looking through the windows? Is he going to attack me? How did you handle that fear?
It really was a fear for a long time. I made sure that my doors were locked and my blinds were closed, and I really just had to have faith in God that he was going to protect us. And it was scary even to go out in public during the day. I didn't know if I would run into him. I would see him bike by my house during the day or have his friends drive by. It was very tense, and I had a lot of fear for about the first year after he left.
After he left. And did you struggle with, taking action, thinking, what if someone takes my children?
I did. But I had the Child and Family Services come in, and they always do that when there's any accusation of violence. And she spoke with both of the kids, and she made a determination that I wasn't at fault. There was nothing that I was doing that would jeopardize them, and that she believed that the threat was removed. And so I was safe. The kids were safe with me.
Okay, and that's good.
Was huge relief.
Yeah, and I imagine as you finally made the decision to divorce him, obviously he's your ex today, knowing that your kids were safe with you and that had been documented, knowing that you were starting to kind of gain your own confidence back, what did it feel like that day when you were granted your divorce? Did you feel free, or did you still feel like, well, he's still out there?
Well, thankfully, we live many, many miles away from each other, and I don't have to see him on a regular basis. I never fear about him being in the town that we live in now. The morning that my divorce was finally finalized, I woke up thinking, I just lost 250 pounds overnight. And I definitely felt free, and I did something good just for me that day.
What did you do?
Well, I bought myself a ring that I put on my ring finger because I did it for myself. This is a reminder that this is me time. And I went out and I believe I had cheesecake or something like that.
Okay. Well, a girl's got to have her cheesecake, but yeah.
That's right.
You know what? I love that you did that because, A, you took your finger back, right? And replaced it with something that was authentically you. But also it kind of documented that day that, you were in charge. You were the leader. And we have just 1 minute here, Paula, but I just want to say, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give somebody listening who's currently in an abusive situation? About 30 seconds. What would you say as a final thought?
I would say to find someone to support you, a close friend or a member, someone to talk to them. You don't have to stay in it. And it's hard, and it's going to be hard. You're going to be afraid, but you can do it. You can absolutely do it. No, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Right, because you were that passive person. You were starting to lose yourself, but you found the strength. You started to see that the light was possible. You weren't going to lose your children. You were going to have a good life beyond, the relationship that you had. So, first of all, I am so proud of you, and I hope that people tell you that every day, because I'm sure it was not an easy feat. And from time to time, I'm sure you might have a tear or two, just because we sometimes cry for what we wish it had been or what it could have been differently. But I most of all want to thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure this was.
Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And a heavy topic, but at the same time, it takes you and me to get the word out. And for everybody listening, it is never too late to take action to grab your freedom, okay? Thank you so much, Paula, for calling in.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. And for everybody listening, it's all about getting out of those abusive relationships today. You know, we're here. We're taking your calls. I want you to feel secure and safe that this is a moment for you to bring that change into your life. And if you're not ready to call in, please reach out to us via email at connect@livingfullout.com so we can give you the resources that you need to break the cycle. So we're going to be coming right back after this break, again, taking your calls, and we're talking about abusive relationships at whatever level that is, emotional, physical, or anywhere in between. We're going to be breaking that cycle, getting you the support that you need today, not tomorrow. We're going to start that today. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back after this break.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're gonna jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a Lost Cat Magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care, people, for goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable.
and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
If you're struggling in an abusive relationship, I want you to know that support is available. It may not be right immediately in your palms of your hands, but I want you to know that you have to have the courage to be vulnerable. Share with somebody what is going on. That is the first step. And if that person can't help you, tell somebody else. But keep stepping forward. Have the courage to do so, because living full out is right around the corner. And this abusive relationship will pass because you are stronger.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I know the topic about abusive relationships has been kind of a tricky one, and sometimes it can stir us up emotionally, but at the same time, we want to look forward to the fact that when we begin our life, we take our first breath. When we leave this planet, we take our last breath. But everywhere in between, there's the highs, the lows, the toxic relationships, the healthy ones. And it's just about evolving and becoming the best version of yourself you can be. And so that's why we're here each week, taking your calls to give you that motivation and to help you put an action plan together to live your life full out. So we're going to go to the phone lines now and talk to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you.
So, I'm sorry, what was that?
Nope, go ahead. Yeah, what can we help you with?
So I often have a lot of bad social anxiety, and I have a lot of trouble approaching people. So I was just kind of wondering what advice you'd have for me to overcome this in order to make more friends and be more social.
Can I ask you a question? Because I'm guessing this is just not a new thing that just happened today. Can you think of a time when somebody said something to you that kind of landed on you in a negative way and made you perhaps a little weary to step out there?
No, not really. I just feel that in general, I'm pretty awkward. So
Okay. So when you say no in general, I'm pretty awkward, what does awkward mean?
I don't really know how to explain that. It's just sometimes like the body language I use or word choice.
Okay. Now, do you have friends now?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at this. Sometimes the awkward characteristics or personality traits that you have, they're signature you. If you think about comedians out there in the world or people who are, quote, quote, maybe awkward in the way that they do things, they're memorable. They're unique. Your signature you. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it doesn't have to be. Do you have to be everybody's friend? No. But I bet the people who you are friends with, they're if you were to ever not be in their life, they'd be like checking their pockets, missing something. I'm missing something. Do you see that? So actually, the awkward traits that you think you have, the way that you're kind of sounding like they are, like a negative, I want you to look at them as a positive. I want you to look at them as traits that allow you to stand out. It's not about people pleasing and being friends with everybody, but there's going to be people in your life that are going to get you. They're going to get all that you're about. Now, the caveat to that, though, is what you might want to do is ask the friends that you are friends with. You know, if I were to meet other people, or like when you first met me, you know, what is something that I could change about myself? It seems like a scary, risky thing to ask, but believe it or not, someone might say, well, maybe don't tell them all about your life within the first minute, right? And I'm not saying you do that. I'm not saying you do that, but wouldn't that be a good social cue to learn about? So our friends, our family members, when you ask questions about, you know, what do you love about me? That's a good question. So they can, you know, tell you all the things they adore about you, but also where are places that I can make changes in my life? Be ready for that as well. When you know that, now you can step out there and and do different. Be better. Be who you want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So don't worry about being everybody's friends. Just look for the people that get you, that adore you, and don't change for anybody. Because, the whole point about living life is being unique, being special. You don't want to be a carbon copy. You want to be an original.
That's true.
All right. Take that laughter and run with it.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you for calling in. So I want to thank everybody who bravely called in about questions to get out of social anxieties, to get out of their ruts, stop being stuck in life, and our inspirational guests who shine the spotlight on domestic violence and how you actually can reclaim your life and get out of a toxic relationship. We're going to be continuing this conversation for a couple weeks to come in different ways, because relationships, whether they're an intimate partner, friends, colleagues, it's all about having the ability, the confidence to know that you deserve better and make that change. So again, reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com if you do have questions or need resources on today's show. Our entire Living Full Out family wants to thank you. We have Rich and Roger and Kristen and Amanda and everybody who's just dedicated to making sure that you have the resources, the passion in your heart to live your life full out. And just know that although I'm hosting the show each week, I'm right there beside you. I think about you guys even when I'm not in the seat running the show. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. Just know that I believe in you very much. And tune in next week for more inspirational stories. Again, we'll take your calls, give you those encouragement that you need to go after life in a big way. Also, make sure to go to our website to listen to past episodes of this show. Again, it's just about keeping you motivated, not just today, but every day. Here's to you living your life full out, and we'll be seeing you next week. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.